Sus has to put on mute.
Put who on mute?
Yeah, maybe it was me now. It seems that it's okay.
It's okay now.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I didn't do anything. I'm sorry, Lynn, you were saying that your grandchild was your daughter or your granddaughter that drew something and expressed something.
Yes, my daughter. She's
Yeah.
drawing a tree with all the leaves, and then the flowers bloom in the root underground, and you cannot see it.
Okay.
I cannot turn. Yeah, I cannot turn the background to be not blurred. Sorry. Otherwise, I think that would be a good thing to show how a person is feeling. Oh, maybe it works
maybe
now.
you can start the
Maybe you can
recording.
start the recording.
Yeah, should be okay. Because that's the question. Yeah.
That's a question. Yeah.
That's
Can
a
you
good
see
one.
it clearly now? Yeah.
Hmm.
And then she expressed it's unique, misunderstood, and complex. I think this is her real feeling. When we say imagine yourself as a tree, and this is how she thinks herself. And then it's interesting how I can feel how she feels when she drew that, right?
True feeling. Yeah, yeah. True drawing, you felt
Through
what she
drawing,
feels.
you felt what she feels.
Yeah. Thank you.
And then what did you do with that? Where
What
did you
did
go
you
with
do
that?
with that? Where did you go with that?
Oh, I keep it as a reminder.
Hmm. Yeah. Interesting. Melody, you have a question?
Yes. Yes. I have a question regarding emotion expressions of the parents. I'm a family counselor, but I'm also an expressive art therapist in training. So
Where at?
then the Vancouver Expressive Art Therapies Institute. I'm doing my practicum in my workplace right now. Right now, I'm actually thinking I have I work with a lot of parents. They're from Asia, like when we grow, I'm Asian myself. So when we grow up, we are not trained to express ourselves and connected to emotions. And so when a lot of parents, when they come, they don't even know know how to connect to their own emotions. And how do I use expressive art, like any of the art form, music or pictures, to help them to learn about emotions or express their emotion or connect to their own emotions, and any useful tips?
Well, first of all, when you work with adults, this is my experience, personal experience. They are not always very open to doing art. So there's a stigma. You probably learned at school that we call it ego, that you judge yourself because we learn that my art is not good. I'm not good. I'm not good at drawing. I'm not good at doing something. So you have to go really slowly to make the make it safe for them to, well, you're not being judged. So it's all about the safety of environment for them. Okay, so that's why when I do art with adult, we just do doodling, right? As a matter of fact, this drawing behind me, this is one of the doodling. We don't. It doesn't matter what does it look like. We just doodling, and I participate in art with them. So you have to make them feel comfortable first, that there is no judgment. You can't just say, "Oh, there's no judgment, just draw, nobody judging you." No, they have to actually do it, because it's a this feeling that they have is manifested in their body, and they have to feel safe in their body. right? So by doing art together, by doing art over and over again, then all of a sudden it becomes normalized and it's okay to do art, right? And there were times that I would tell people, adult, that do the worst drawing you can possibly do. Yeah, just do the worst drawing. Just to make them like it's not about what you draw or how you draw. It's about using this as a tool to express.
Mhm.
And if you want to express anger, anger doesn't have to be looking like somebody. Anger can be just a squirrel, or you know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave my information after the presentation, so I'm more than happy to talk to you or work with you, or if you have any questions. And um, I've done a lot of expressive arts, and I've run a lot of groups in expressive arts.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
That would be very helpful. Yes.
No problem. That's it for our questions. I'm gonna start the presentation again.
And remember recording? I don't know if you're doing it.
I think he started recording. Is it?
Yes, it says recording.
All right. So the nervous system and brain. So we were born with our brain stem fully functioning, fully firing. The brain stem is our primitive brain. It's responsible for your breathing, when you're hungry, when your autonomic nervous system, your blinking, tell you when you're hungry and all that. Okay, so every second, our brain receives something up to 400 billion datas that it would process. From this 400 billion data that it processes, we are aware of only 1% of it. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. How many of you actually noticed when you walk into your room? Have you noticed the door? You saw the door, you walked through the door, but did you actually notice the door? Did the door come to your conscious awareness? Or now that you're sitting on the chair, how many of you actually feel the chair, the back of your chair? Now you probably do because I invited you to, but how many of you actually notice it? Comes to your awareness, right? So the reason we talk about this is a lot of information that we receive doesn't come to our conscious awareness. So basically, it means that we don't tell the full story ever because there is always data that we are missing. How many of you, for example, you experienced something that it was horrible and you were very dysregulated and you feel threatened? Later on, when you got more information, you realize that it's not as threatening and you're okay with that. Okay. So this is really a key that we will be revisiting all the time, that the things that are not in our conscience and we perceive them as threat, that we think it's a threat, but it might not be a threat. Or it could be a threat for one person, but the next person next to you, it's not a threat. So are perceived, and we're going to look at what is actually for kids, what is actually perceived as a threat. Okay. The next part of the brain that we're going to talk about is our limbic system, which is so our limbic system is around here, right? I'm going to use the model of Bruce Perry, which used the diencephalon in the limbic system because of for the purpose of this presentation. There are other theories that put the diencephalon other places. So for this presentation, I'm going to say the diencephalon is in the limbic system. The diencephalon works as a relay station. So all this information comes into your brainstem. The diencephalon sends it up into amygdala. Diencephalon has two parts, hypothalamus and thalamus. One is thalamus is for external data coming in. Hypothalamus is responsible for internal, your hormones, your internal feelings. There is one sense that bypasses diencephalon. Does anybody know which one is that? You can say it, or that's the your olfactory, the sense of smell. The sense of smell bypasses the diencephalon and goes straight to your amygdala. And so this is really important information for us to know, because the olfactory or sense of smell is called actually the fastest recalling memory because it's bypassing the diencephalon. And it's important because there are the kids can get, there are smells that could be triggering that we don't know and triggers the kids and we don't know why they're triggered. I can give you example. For example, it's a Sunday afternoon and there's cooking happening in the kitchen, and let's say chicken is in the oven being roasted, and in the back bedroom a child isn't being abused in the bedroom. The smell of food in that room, the kid's brain will make connection to the abuse that they're experiencing to the smell of the food. So therefore, next time in future, when they smell the chicken, they feel they would experience the same thing that they're experiencing at the moment. We call that re-traumatizing. And you're basically, when that smell comes, you feel exactly the same as it was happening right at the moment. The next part of the brain I want to talk about is amygdala. Amygdala is responsible to find out if any of this information coming in is threatening. So basically, amygdala works on the basis of guilty until proven innocent. So anything comes, amygdala will check for threat, and if there's a threat, send the to our nervous system to start being alert. And for example, if it's hyperarousal, then send blood into our extremities. If it's hyperarousal, the blood will go into our internal organs. So basically alerts the system to do something about it. The next part is hippocampus. We say so amygdala will always look for threat. Hippocampus is doing the check and balance. So amygdala says it's a threat, hippocampus checks it, and it says no, if it's a threat or if it's not a threat. Okay. every time the amygdala alarms the system that there is a threat, the body produces hormone called cortisol. When the amygdala is in a constant state of threat and finding a threat, produces so much cortisol that it actually damages the hippocampus. Then hippocampus is not able to do the checks and balance. So you see the kids are in a constant state of hypervigilant. There is probably damaging happening in hippocampus. Okay, and then there is a prefrontal cortex that right here, prefrontal cortex right here, that it's highest order of the brain, that its responsibilities for our executive functioning, the decision making, and it doesn't fully develop until the age of 25. And that's a really important thing because executive functioning, decision making is something that parents and teachers love and not realizing that it's a 12-year-old kid doesn't have the prefrontal cortex fully developed. So they're not able to function as a 25-year-old person. This is a very important information that often adults around the kids miss. One thing I forgot to say, amygdala is fully developed by the age of 3. Okay. So we were talking about the threats that the amygdala is looking for. There are 4 threats and challenges that our brain looks for. The first one is physical and emotional safety. Is my environment safe? Safe? Is my if my body safe? If my needs being met? The second one is unknown. Now, the unknown is on its own is not a threat. As a matter of fact, if you think about it, unknown, it feels like a fertile ground. It's somewhere that unlimited possibilities could happen. Unknown becomes a threat when we bring our past experiences into unknown. If you had that past experience, if you had fear, and if you're going to a new place that you've never been before, that's unknown that would be threatening for you. There is no doubt in my mind that all the behaviors that kids show in when they are in transition is because of the unknown. Because they don't know what's happening. Parents are separating. What's going to happen to me? We are moving the house, moving the city to another city. What's going to happen in the new city? I'm going a different grade. My teacher is changing. My school is changing. That's why when I work with parents, I emphasize on making the unknown known. This is really important. Making the unknown known. You can go as much as putting a calendar on the wall. It depends on how anxious the kid is. There are kids are so anxious that they need to know what's happening. And for your information, if the kids need to know what's happening all the time, those are the kids that have no control in their lives. So they are in constant of wanting to know, right? So and if you work with parents and if you give this brain analogy to them to educate them, that because we usually say, yeah, a lot of people know that put calendars on the fridge. But I know you tell the parents that, yeah, put the calendars on the fridge. Yeah, okay, I'll do it. But when they don't know why you're saying that, is it's not going to happen because you want to make the unknown known to the kids. You know, even you can go as far as menu. Every day of the week, what are we going to eat? Some kids really need to know that. Okay, go ahead, Jesus. I know your hands are up.
No, just so that we very important for many of us that we work with immigrant people, because when you bring your kids here, maybe they don't know what's happening in the new place.
Absolutely, absolutely. There is, God, how many kids that I see that they just arrived to Canada and they don't know what's happened. So it's important that we give lots of information to kids. Okay, you're gonna go to this school. This is what's gonna happen. You're gonna go in there and you're gonna have a new teacher. And when you walk in, as a matter of fact, you can walk the kids to the new school and show them. We are gonna go to a new country. It's gonna be, talk about the city. Show them if they're coming to Vancouver. Show them the pictures of Vancouver and things they do in Vancouver. So prepare them so they have understanding of what anticipate what's going to happen. You brought up migrants. When they don't know if they're going to stay here. People who the refugee claimants. Am I going to be accepted? Am I going to be here next year? People want work permit. Would I be able to renew my work permit? And the kids already went to school for 2 years. What's going to happen? There's a lot of dysregulated nervous systems with the kids that I see just around that. So there's a lot of psychoeducation for parents that you tell them. Culturally, I can talk about my culture that you don't want to tell kids what's going to happen. The next thing that is a threat is incongruency in the environment. So incongruency in the environment has different forms. For example, when we were talking about the adult has to be congruent. The adult has to be authentic, meaning, I'm smiling at you, but really inside I want to punch you. So there is incongruency. Often incongruency in the environment is when there's a secret in the family. This is happening only in our family. Don't talk about it to anybody else. This is our secret, right? So that's how it becomes a threat to the child. And they're walking around with this secret that they have to keep, right? Addiction is also one of the biggest threat because, imagine at 3 years old, how much do they know about alcohol? Well, what they know is dad is looking perfect, playing with me. Half an hour later, dad is gone and he's not responding the way he was responding. Right? So addiction is one of the big threats in the environment. Any questions so far around this? 3 threats we talked about. June?
I actually put my question in the chat box, so you can
Okay.
ignore it. My question is for those kids who need to know, because, and I do know that this child has anxiety, they keep asking about stuff, but some things are not relevant to them. They just kind of overheard and what is it about? So that you don't want to tell too much, and sometimes you feel annoyed. It's like, just, I'm talking about my own child. So some things is relevant, but other things is not. And then she overheard me and dad talking about what is it about? I feel like, and every time I talk, not every time, but feels like every time I talk to your dad, I have to stop and explain to you. Now, how do you reconcile that between the need of the child and the need of myself?
Okay, so here's a couple of things that stood up for me. You talk about something that is adult stuff, I would call it, in front of a minor. So why do you expect your child not to ask questions?
I wasn't speaking in front of her. Me and my
Oh,
husband were in the kitchen. No, so she overheard. She's in another room.
She overheard.
Yeah.
She overheard.
And it's not adult stuff. It's like, oh, I'm going to go to your mom's to pick up some stuff. Like it's not it's not like it's not for her ears. It's like, oh, I'm going to your mom to pick up some stuff, for example. Like, but I just feel like I have to stop and explain myself every time. It's not like she can't hear. Like those conversations would be after she goes to bed, but she's always asking, like, oh, what is it about? She needs to know everything. What's happening?
Yeah.
What's happening tomorrow? It's okay, but she's like, she wants to know. I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't want to stop every time I say something. I have to explain to you. Like, how do you help her with her anxiety while
I would by hearing you right now, I can even sense a lot of anxiety around that.
Yeah.
And I would so you would talk about your own anxiety. You'd say that, oh, I'm really anxious. I have a lot of anxiety inside me. I need to sit down, just like we were talking earlier. I need to sit down. I need to take a breath. I feel anxious. So you're modeling regulation in front of her because for what I'm sensing that she's like that because she's anxious herself.
Yes, she is.
So you need to, so it's not about adult talking. It's not about you're asking too many questions. It's about my anxiety that you're not addressing.
Her
Right?
anxiety.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And yours.
Well, I wasn't anxious to begin with. I was just having a normal conversation, and then she comes up from another room. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
And how beautifully she projected on you, didn't she?
What do you mean by that?
She projected her anxiety on you, didn't
She's
she?
expressing her anxiety. Yeah.
Projected her anxiety on you.
I don't understand that.
The same thing we were talking earlier. The projection. What did I mean by projection then? Right? That's a perfect example of projection.
I breathed in her anxiety. That's what you mean. I picked it up. Is that what you mean?
She projected on you, yes.
Yeah. Well, I didn't feel anxious at the time. I know she feels anxious, but I felt annoyed.
Then you're annoyed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you say I'm annoyed, which annoyed is part of anxiety. Do you see where I'm going with that?
Wow.
It sounds like what I'm hearing from you is that you want parenting advice, but what I'm trying to direct you to in connecting with yourself and your feeling and what you wanna do in front of the kid, rather than actually addressing, we are not at the moment, you wanna teach maybe manners to your kid, but your kid's brain, as we are going to find out soon, it's not receiving that. When the child is anxious and want to know something, that means I'm not hearing you. My fight and flight response is activated, and all I want is assurance. All I want is somebody to regulate me. You understand? But you want to teach your child manner. Two adults are talking.
No, I didn't want to teach manners. I just want to get the task done. I just want to convey that to my husband. One thing down. So many tasks at home, but I felt interrupted. I wasn't teaching manners. I just, hey, I just want to get this done and move on to the next.
So I'm not sure if I answered your question or not. All I'm hearing is there's anxiety in the room that is not being addressed.
Yeah.
Now, if there is something that you want to show your kid, okay, if the kid was so regulated that she was connected to her prefrontal cortex, that she could think and she could make a decision and she could hear you, then that's the time that you would say, two people are talking, maybe you wait, in 2 minutes, I will answer that. And then you would do that. Do you understand what I mean?
I missed the first part. If there's something
if she was regulated, if she wasn't in fight and flight mode, if she was regulated and she could actually hear you, because often, especially in a school environment, when kids are completely dysregulated and teachers are trying to either give them assignment to do or tell them that this behavior is not accepted, kids don't hear you. They literally do not hear you.
Mhm.
and they look at you with the blank eyes,
Mm.
right? There's nothing in there because I'm in fight and flight mode. I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to run away from here, and you're trying to give me another task.
That
You
makes
understand?
sense. Yeah. Yeah.
So not unless your child is in a complete regulated state or in the window of tolerance that we are going to talk about a little bit later, not unless that your child is there, you you cannot talk about that. You would need to regulate her. That you would have to be the external regulator.
Okay.
Right?
Thank you.
No problem. Nubia, your hands up. I'm not sure if I pronounced your name right, Nubia.
Yes.
Yes. Oh,
So I wanted to make a comment about
I sorry, I can't hear you. You have
Something is not okay with your, Nubia, something is not okay with your microphone.
Can you write it on the chat, the question?
Yes, I will. I'll write it in the chat.
yeah.
I'm not sure if she's accessing the
Yeah.
chat or not.
Yeah, she put when you're working with migrant families. I'm waiting for the rest of it. It's important to know acknowledge that. Yes, it is important to acknowledge that they are facing lots of shame and anxiety. Yes. I'm sorry, is that a question? Or you're making a comment? Okay. Because often they make it about child's behavior and don't look at where they are at as parents. Yeah. The question is how you guide them through that. Lot of psychoeducation, lot of simple vocabulary on um, what child behavior. We are going to talk about behavior now. What child's behavior actually, where is it coming from, right? So
But it-
so
it's-
you're
it's
saying
not-
so you're saying their anxiety is shame and anxiety comes from they're making it about their child's behavior, and which is not. It's supposed to be um, and they don't look at where they are as parents. So basically, they are not they don't have enough information as a parents. Am I right? Is that what you're trying to say? So their anxiety is about the child, but not about yeah. So the anxiety starts with adult, or again. So you're talking about behavior, which comes from dysregulated nervous system. So if they're actually talking about behavior culturally, some people are um, ashamed of kids' behavior, if that's what you mean by shame. You know, they misbehave in the public, and now people think that I'm a bad parent, or I don't. Yes. So yes, okay. So that's what you mean. Yes. So that then they need to know that where the child behavior comes from. right? Child doesn't be their own, that's hard for them to acknowledge their own struggle um, because they are more worried about other people or the dynamic at home. So because they are more worried about their environment or people around them rather than addressing the issue at home, right? Am I right? So if the question is how do you tell that to the parents, I think psychoeducation is the most important thing. Because my sense is there's a understanding that the child is just misbehaving, which I see that every day, especially in the school environment. It's just the child just misbehaving, right? Without thinking about where the child's misbehavior coming from. Or the child is misbehaving so much that they have to see a psychiatrist and be diagnosed and then put on medication. And nobody's actually looking at the dysregulated nervous system. Did I answer your question? Okay. Education, education, education. So what is included in the psychoeducation? This is what is included in psychoeducation. Just right now, like what does the child's brain look like? What does hyper arousal look like? I'm gonna go through the actual physical symptoms of different activation. So you actually look at it and say, okay, this child in front of me is hyper aroused, sympathetic nervous system, right? So let's go through that and see if the um, if your question is answered. Okay. So any more questions that I missed? I don't know. If there is, please let me know, or I'm just gonna go on to the fourth threat. Okay, we move on. So the last threat is shoulds that we have in our head. So shoulds and shouldn'ts, right? Let's talk about this a little bit. Well, how many shoulds we have? Shoulds are like I should lose weight. I should eat better. My should is I'm a therapist. I should be able to help kids. I should be able to help clients. I should be able to answer all the questions. I should study. I should read. I should exercise. I should go for a walk, even though I'm so depressed that I can't even get out of bed. But I should do that. So shoulds and shouldn'ts. Now, for some reason, I don't have your picture. I want to see. I want to encourage you guys or invite you guys to think about some shoulds that you've been dealing with in your lives. You know, if you want it, you can put it in the chat or just say it out loud. Then we are going to do an exercise after that. That's some shoulds you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. Should be able to solve this problem. Get along with everybody. Yeah. Okay, so 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 I should know. I have a very good sense of direction after going to the same place few times. So I feel like I'm expected to know how to get there. So I should know. I should know how to get there. I should know. I should have a sense of direction. I should manage my time better. Ooh, that's a big one. Yes, Melody. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm gonna invite you to sit back and really relax. Have your feet on the floor. You're welcome to close your eyes, take a deep breath, and find the most recent should you have in your head. And I don't know, I don't have your pictures for some reason, your videos. Um, I'm gonna give you guys like maybe, a couple of minutes to come up with one. And when you are ready, I'm gonna ask you to repeat that should 5 times. So think about one should that you have recently you have in your head, the most recent should. And when you have it, repeat that should 5 times in your head. For example, I should exercise. I should exercise. Just go ahead and repeat that in your head 5 times. And when you're ready, I'm going to ask you to either say it or write down in the chat. How did you feel inside? What sensations did you have? As you said all those shoulds to yourself. Tight in my stomach. Pressure. Pressure, sense of motivation, okay. Feel even more stressful and pressured. I should get more sleep. I should be able to run the Zoom even though I have no idea how it works. I feel like crying. Should get more sleep, feel anxious, pressure, heavier burden. By any chance, anybody felt backache, my neck hurts? By any chance, anybody felt nauseous? So I'll explain to you the exercise, June, after, because we're almost done. By any chance, anybody felt nauseous? Anybody actually got angry for me making you do that? Easy, yeah. So angry is crying. Tightness in the stomach. Okay, so Here's the thing. Every time you should yourself, you are creating dysregulation in your nervous system. You are saying to yourself that I am not good enough and I should be this person. And so you are creating incongruency inside yourself. So it's important every time we say shoulds to kids. You should do this and you should do that. Right? This is really important that I wanted you guys to actually feel it. Questions around that? I'm going to move on. Thank you, Melody. Repeated, it was so negative. Okay, Amira. Thank you, Melody, for repeating that. How do you feel now? Both participants. Thank you, Melody, for repeating the exercise for June. So I'm going to move on to the next exercise. I can actually. So this is basically what we talked about. Part of this PowerPoint is actually because I'm going to have it available to you as a handout. So part of this I actually wrote it down in form of handout. So this is a handout about brain part, brainstem, limbic, amygdala, hippocampus, and prefrontal cortex. Okay, I'm not going to go through that because we have a lot to cover and we only got half an hour left. So another thing I want to talk about is neuroception. Dr. Purchase introduced this term in 2004 to denote the brain's and body's ongoing subconscious surveillance of safety and threat in the environment. So now we're going to use a lot of neuroceptions of safety. So because it's your perception of safety, the same as it's your perceptions of threat. Your perception of safety could not be a safety for another person, but you perceive it as safe or you perceive it as threat. So if a child falsely senses a threat, is it still neuroception? So if they think that it's the threat is coming, it's still the neuroception. It's their perception of danger. Creating a neuroception of safety is the number one priority when working with children because you want to create a safe environment. You know, how many of you worked with adults that they are so hyper vigilant that they don't even know where they are? So you orient them to the room. You tell them, you know, look at the room, name 5 things you see, name 4 things you hear, you know, 3 things you can touch, or 2 things you can smell, or 1 thing you can taste. No, because you want to bring them into the room to tell them that this is a safe room. You are not in danger. So you create a neuroception of safety.
I should put you back here.
Okay. Sorry, I thought that was a question. So
Yes.
so
Look at you guys. This
neuroception of
3 things is coming inside. Pine trees. Okay. You wanna eat something? You wanna eat rice with bacon?
Can you shut the speaker? No.
So sorry, am I it's somebody's unmuted? Is that what it is?
I think it was a line, but now I muted. So now it's okay.
Okay, very good. So basically, so neuroception is to allow ourselves to feel the realness of this regulation in our body that will naturally arises as we are in and observing the play when we are with the kids, or the kids are projecting something to us. while knowing that it is the child's play. So this is the neuroception of safety. So I'm in the middle of it. The child is projecting on me their anxiety, their anger, but I know that I'm safe. I have the neuroception of safety. And I can track my felt sense and conscious awareness simultaneously. So I can feel that. I can feel that I'm anxious, my heart is beating fast, and I'm safe. I'm aware of that this is only my anxiety. So tracking both of these experiences is how we maintain a neuroception of safety, which allows us to stay regulated and present when you are in the space with a child. I'm gonna keep going unless you have a question. So autonomic nervous system that we talk about, I kind of have a simpler language here for it. So autonomic nervous system has two branches, um, dorsal vagal, ventral, and sympathetic activation. So dorsal vagal and ventral vagal are parasympathetic activation. So you don't need to remember the names. That's why I color coded it so you can use the color. So um, with the dorsal vagal, it's your energy. You'll see the child is shutting down, isolating, tuning out. Basically, um, they have no affect. They show you no emotions. Um, Opposite of that, it's sympathetic activation, which is to fight and flight and freeze, um, striking out, running away. Now, some of you who studied that, freeze used to be in dorsal vagal, or parasympathetic, but now they change it into sympathetic because they say freeze is you are activating your system. You are getting ready, you are sending the blood into your extremities, and you're going to fight or flight. Okay, so freeze is now in um, sympathetic nervous system. So to give you example, um, I'm a 3-year-old kid. I'm playing in the sand. I have a cool truck, one of those trucks, the dump truck that you can pour sand in it. I'm sitting there. My teacher's around. I see a kid who everybody knows is a he giving a hard time to other kids, coming towards me, and all of a sudden I get activated. So I feel like, okay, now I'm thinking about, I freeze and I say, okay, I can grab my truck and run away. I can punch him. I can kick him. So I have control over the situation. I can do something about it. So this is my sympathetic activation. So all of a sudden, the system sent blood into my extremities, into my hands to punch and grab, and my legs to kick and run, and my face to clench my jaw, bite, I don't know, spit. So the kid comes, grabs the truck, and walks away. And then all of a sudden, I feel like, oh my God, there is nothing I can do about it. Then my dorsal vagal parasympathetic nervous system gets activated and I shut down. I collapse. I don't know what to do with it. I basically have no control. Okay. I can give you more examples if you want. Questions around that. So this is again like a handout, sympathetic, parasympathetic dorsal vagal activation, parasympathetic ventral vagal. Sorry, I forgot to talk about the ventral vagal. So ventral vagal is our green pathway. You're feeling safe. You're engaged. You're learning. You're thinking. This is when you have access to your prefrontal cortex. You can make sense out of things. You are regulated. So you want to access that, and you want the children to access that. Okay. More explanation of that. That's a handout for you. So this is a really cool thing that they do in examining the nervous system. It's called electrodermal response. So they send data into your brain, and then they watch the reaction. So for example, in the first one, your brain react to it. First one, stimulus activation. They basically stimulus is
You're freeze, Ahmad.
to change. Yes,
No, it was freeze for a little while.
I froze.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
You were talking about the time and the stimulus.
Oh, yes. So when they send the signal to the brain, the child notices there is a signal, something has changed, and you see that hic right here. That's when they notice, and then they keep sending the signal, and as you can see, the brain flattens that this is okay. I know what it is. Now for the next one.
It happened again, Ahmad. It froze.
And they send a signal again, it gets further activated, and it keeps going and going and never regulate itself. So this is when you are dysregulated and your brain responds this way to it. I thought that's a real cool fact or cool thing to see how it actually looks like. Our next slide, we are talking about the actual activation. How does it show up in their body? So eyes, body, face, voice, and rhythm, rate of movement. So in the green pathway, which we call it parasympathetic with ventral vagal activation. So the eyes are bright and shiny. Um, looks directly at you, looks away for breaks when it feels like it knows when it's too much. It looks away, the child, to take a break. Eye contact, seems alert, takes in the information, so you don't get that blank eye that when you talk to them as if they're not hearing you. Their body is relaxed, good muscle tone, stable balance and coordinated movement. Infant moves arm and legs towards the center of their body like that, molds their body into caregiver when they're held, so they would allow you to hold them. Moves fast and slow depending on the environment. So based on what comes into the environment, from whatever it receives from the environment, is respond according to it. Face smiles, shows joy, neutral, can express all emotion. Voice is laughing, tone is changing, rhythm and rate of movement changes smoothly to respond to the environment. So it's not all of a sudden fully activated and screams or fight. movement is not too fast or way too slow, like sympathetic and parasympathetic activation. Now we are looking at sympathetic activation, the red pathway, which is fast and it's like you're going, you got all the energy, gas pedal, we say it. So eyes are open, squinted or closed eyes, may have direct or intense eye contact, may avoid eye contact, rolls upward the eyes, look constantly around the room. Fingers are spread out, arch position, body's tense, constant motion, they can't relax. They demand space by pushing and shoving, or getting into other people's space, bump into things, falls, threatening gesture, shaking fingers or showing fist. Face is wide, mouth is open, shows anger and disgust, frown, grimace, face forced smile, like faking a smile, clenches jaw or teeth. Voice is high pitch, yelling or screaming, is loud, hostile or grumpy, sarcastic, out of control, laughing. Rhythm, rates of movement, fast movement, impulsive movement. Okay. And going to blue pathway, parasympathetic, it's basically glazed eyes, looks as though, looks through rather than at something, looks away for a long time, looks down, doesn't make eye contact, seems drowsy, tired. Actually, one of the biggest signs of blue pathway or parasympathetic is sleepiness. When you have clients coming to you and they're yawning and they feel sleepy and super low energy, that's parasympathetic with dorsal activation. Looks at things more than other people. Slumps, slouching, low muscle tone, little or no exploring play or curiosity, wonder, froze or slow moving. Face is flat, blank, mouth turned down, sad, no smile or hint of smile. Few emotion shows, that's really, or no emotion, I would say, actually. They show nothing. Voice is flat, makes few or no sounds, sounds cold, soft. Sometimes you don't even hear them, sad or too quiet. And rhythm and rate of movement is slow movement, very, very slow, actually, or no movement. So this is the same thing in a form of handout. And this is regulation activities in the form of a handout. So what do? You can do different activities for, I'm just going to generalize instead of going through everything. For example, for people with parasympathetic dorsal activation, you want to get them moving. You want to get them, you want to play, loud music. You want to make them feel things. You want to make them carry heavy things or walk quickly, run, shake your hand, your body. Or for sympathetic activation, you want different. You want soft music. You want drink slow. Basically, things should be slower. You even touch, hold them, hug them, slow movement, read a book, swing is really good. Okay. So this is also a handout for you guys to look at. So understanding the window of tolerance we talk about, basically window of tolerance, if you imagine a box, above the box is your hyperaroused, your fight and freeze, and you want to run away and you can do something about it. Below the box is hyper aroused. You are you are unable to do things, you don't know what to do, you have no control over the situation, collapse response. In the window of tolerance, you are regulated. So the same thing is red, green, and blue pathways. So the window of tolerance is optimal zone of arousal that allows a person to integrate sensory data, which is optimal zone of arousal of the nervous system activation. So any symptoms that children bring into the room is the result of dysregulated nervous system. So I propose that we change the language instead of diagnosis. For example, saying he's dysregulated in excessive sympathetic activation, or she's dysregulated in excessive dorsal parasympathetic activation. So it's basically, I'm going to put the question out there, how we approach the child if we view them from through this lens that, okay, so they're telling you something. All behavior is their attempt to regulate themselves. Okay, I'm going to bring back the Leanne story, that Leanne came to the room and the thing that she projected on me was fear. How did she project it? She, there were plays that I was a child and she was my mother, and there were plays that I was mother and she was my child. It's night, we were sleeping, the light had to be turned off, and she would say, oh, now there is somebody outside the door. Now there is somebody outside the door. Or she would throw something as if, oh, something happened. So she, hypervigilant fear, replayed for 5 sessions over and over the same play until she didn't do it anymore. So I felt the fear. I regulated myself.
We cannot hear you, Ahmad. You're froze. We cannot hear you now.
Right? There's a lot of things. Are you guys hearing me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So there are a lot of things that is being played here. So I played all those with her till she integrated that. So she didn't play that with me. Right? So other things I did with school, because she was getting activated. She wasn't able to process too many instructions at once. So she would get overwhelmed and she would run away. So with ministry, school teachers, principals, and we brought behavioral interventionists to work with that to see what she needs to do, how we educate these people around her to give her the space that she can be, rather than forcing her to change, rather than focusing on her behavior. So we gave her language to say, I'm done, I can't be here. And we created a safe space for her. I'm ready to go to my safe, quiet space. And somebody would take her to the safe, quiet place, which it was another room. Right? So she was accepted. And she started doing well. Oh, we also told teachers that when you give instruction, one instruction at a time, because she can't tolerate all that. So she started doing better. She wanted to go to school. She was doing better, a little bit better academically. And she's still working on it, and I'm still seeing her. But her play completely changed. She came from foster care, abusive father, experienced and witnessed violence. Mother was brutally beaten up in front of her. So she had all that to deal with. But the important thing is, I didn't need to know the story. What I needed to know is what is she bringing into the room to integrate. Okay. I thought there was a question. Okay, the next slide is the developmental task. So developmental task, this is instead of um, um, other sorry, this is like developmental task. This is different than Erickson developmental stages. So this is done by Louis Freeman, which is a Gestalt therapist, and he says it's not a it's a task. It's a question that they would ask, and Lisa Dion in synergetic play therapy added one stage to it, which is do I exist, which is in the utero. In the utero, child has the feeling of the question, do I exist until the child is born. Then from birth to 18 months, there's a question, is the world okay? So the focus is around the world. It's not about people, or it's not about the child. It's about the world. Is my environment is okay? The next one is, am I okay? So from age 18 months to 36 months is, am I okay? So this is personal. Am I safe in this environment? Then we are going back to how much can I do, 3 to 6 years old. It's not about how good can I do it, but I want to experiment. Like I have 6 years old coming and say, I want to do everything. I want to make slime, and then I want to pour sand in the slime, and then I want to put paint in it, and I'm going to mix them all because I want to experiment everything. By the age 7 to 11, they want to say, how well can I do it? This is when they want to do well. And they say, look at me, how well can I do it? Right? The kid can I say, show you what I can do, right? And 11 and older is the existential question, who am I? Now, if the question is not answered in any of these stages, it's the part that is not integrated, and the child will come back to it. Right? For example, Leanne, is the world okay? Came up and she was 9 years old. So she played, is the world okay? Then am I okay? Right? She keeps on going up. So now I want to talk about regulation. We said many times that what do? We regulate in front of children. In order to be external regulator, we need to regulate ourselves. So most of us think of regulation as being calm, but regulation is not really being calm. Regulation is being in your green pathway, in your window of tolerance, knowing that you have control over the situation, and then going towards the difficult emotions. So I can think clearly. I can make a conscious choice. It basically means that I'm connected to my prefrontal cortex. Am I able to notice my breath? Am I able to feel grounded? I can speak clearly. I have an experience of being in my body. I'm connected to myself. I'm aware of what is happening. I'm larger than the experience. That means I have control.
Rose again.
So regulation happens in the moment of mindfulness. It doesn't necessarily mean calmness. All behaviors are attempt to regulation, including aggression. Children borrow the regulatory capacity of the caregiver as they attempt to integrate their challenging internal state. So again, we said it that they are going to we have 4 minutes. Yes. Thank you, Jesus. So integrating intense emotions starts with the caregiver becoming the external regulators. Becoming calm is not the goal, but it's actually you want them to go towards the difficult emotion. The when you're calm in the difficult situation, you're actually avoiding it. The idea is to go towards the difficult emotions. So again, we said that the primary way that children learn is through observation and mirror neuron system. An adult must regulate first before they can become a co-regulator. And breathe, movement, and naming experiences are key elements in the regulation process. Becoming mindfully aware is the first step toward regulation. So this is also something we talked about before. We are talking about this is a handout again. Since we got a few minutes left, I'm wanting to take questions if there are any questions. There are more into this presentation or PowerPoint, which is actually how you talk to the children, which is in the point form. If the child does that, you do this. So I'm going to give that to you as a handout. Any questions around all of this we talked about? I know there was a lot of information. This is really a 6th session that I spend with parents when I. So anything you guys want to talk about or questions for last few minutes?
We have so much work to do, Ahmad. Everyone starting.
Only the first thing you actually need to, June, is be authentic, learn how to regulate. Does the approach change with neurodivergence? So very good questions. We didn't get to talk about neurodivergence. So this is a really interesting topic because approach for me is the same, but I would never say get diagnosis. I would never say don't get diagnosis or don't take medications, especially with ADHD, because I am not qualified to make this assumption that they don't need that. But what I personally feel is yes, the same, because they are not able, they process things differently. And so we need to make the environment suitable for them to be able to process it in a regulated state. So I don't know. My answer is yes and no, really, because I'm being actually diplomatic when I answer this. I do work. Leanne, example I give, she's diagnosed with ADHD. She takes medication, but my work with her doesn't change. I still help her to integrate emotions that she brings up.
Any other questions?
Thank you, June. I'm gonna type in my email. In the chat, and I welcome you to contact me if there are questions. As you can see, I'm very passionate about this. I would talk forever about it. This is my work, this is my passion. And I answer any questions remotely, in person, whatever you like. I'm available to you guys. This was an honor to be in your present and have you listening to my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so
Mhm.
much for, my goodness.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing.
Is there I guess we can't stay any longer, or
Well,
because yeah, you guys can, because you and Jesus are the
I mean, no, I mean, I don't have any problem.
just in case there are, burning questions that
Yeah, no, for me, it's okay. Yeah, no
yeah.
problem. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I should have managed my time better. I work with this shoot a little bit now. Yes, yes, June.
Thank you. I do have a burning question. You said that the goal when a child is become dysregulated, the goal is not to bring to a place of calmness, but to get to the difficult emotions.
Yes.
And then what? And yeah.
Okay, so I actually repeat that a few times in this presentation. So when you are actually connected to yourself, and when you are regulated, you would naturally want to go towards the difficult emotion, because you have control over your you have control over your emotion. You are bigger than your emotion, so naturally you would want to face it. It's like the kid came and grabbed my truck, and I get up and punch the kid. I would go towards the difficult emotion. I would go towards the difficult situation, right? But if I cannot, I collapse. You know what I mean? So the key is to be in the regulated state. So when you say calmness can be part of the regulation, but it's not the regulation.
what
Did
if
I
the
answer your
child
question?
doesn't want the
Pardon?
child? What if the child refuses to
Refuses to what?
talk about, to
We're not.
say?
So we are not talking is cognitive, right? Talking is you're in your head. You understand what I mean? So we are talking about energy and nervous system. So do you feel the kid is dysregulated? Are you able to co-regulate with the kid? And if the kid learned to co-regulate with you because you modeled it to the kid, because you invited the child to connect with itself and welcome that difficult emotion, then the child is regulated. But if you say, oh my God, I'm so nervous, I'm going to calm myself down, you are not regulating, you're avoiding the emotion.
But when you say one must regulate themselves before they can be a regulator, wouldn't like you do want to calm yourself first before you go in and help the child,
You
right?
want to regulate yourself
Yes.
first, which calmness could be part of your regulation.
Ahmad, Ana Lorena is asking if you have a private practice.
I do.
How can they contact you?
You can contact me with the same email.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. June, how are you feeling about that?
It seems,
Um,
Ahmad, it seems that your email address is not available.
Okay.
Did you see it, Jesus?
No, I cannot see it in the chat. No.
Oh, did I? Oh, maybe I didn't do it to everyone. So it's ahmad@watari.ca. I don't know why. I direct messages Chandona. I want to go everyone in the meeting. There, sorry.
I
Ahmad.
can, I
Thank
do
you.
have the email. I do
Thank you,
have the
Carmen.
email.
No,
I
Carmen
do.
did it. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't know. I accidentally direct messaged somebody. Did I lose you, June? I want to make sure I answered your question because I sensed a little confusion at the end.
So the goal of all of that is to I think naturally parents just want the child to stop because it's very scary when a child just loses themselves and they start being really disruptive, they start breaking things.
And I get that. And you know what? It's really interesting because I work with parents and I have a mother, especially when they were in domestic violence situation. The mother comes and the moment I go to the waiting area to see them and pick up the child, I sense the mother anxiety. Like it just hits me and I feel it in my chest, right? So then I go and pick up the kid, and the kid shows anxiety, and the kid shows anxiety, and kid shows anxiety. So the mother is not regulated, right? So the mother is not the external regulator. So again, we are focusing on child's behavior, not looking at really the underlying that is why the child's behaving this, why the child is throwing something. And one thing I say that is usually eye-opening is look at it as if your child is telling you something instead of thinking that the child is misbehaving. Sit down and say, oh, I wonder what is he telling me or she telling me. Right? So you can't you can't when a parent comes, I always say that, my child does that. Oh, well, yesterday my child did this. So how did you feel? Well, I got really pissed off. What did you do? I told him, don't. You're a bad boy, right? I said, well, no, right? First of all, you stop the flow of the energy to begin with. Then you shame the child to expressing emotion. So soon he's going to disown it, right? You did not give, you did not give, you did not redirect the energy, right? So you left the child with not accepting themselves in shame, and the emotion is not integrated, and you're coming to me and saying the child is misbehaving. And as a matter of fact, if you remember, I said if the child is angry and make you feel angry, and you don't regulate and you don't name it and you don't talk about your symptoms, physical feelings, and don't breathe in front of the child will notch it off. Then they, instead of yelling, they'll throw something at you. Not until you actually show that you feel it and be authentic. We are talking about authenticity. So it's easy for parents to come and say, child does that, do something about it, right? I get that every day. So you're asking me, what do I do with this behavior? I'm saying model regulation to the child. How do I model regulation to the child? Well, regulate yourself, right? Again, the same thing over and over again. I'm going to repeat that.
Thank you. That's a lot
No
of
problem.
learning.
It's not a lot of learning, honestly. It's being yourself. It's being yourself and being authentic and feeling and connecting to yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Reconnected, right? Reconnecting again.
Reconnecting, yes, to yourself, to your body. Right?
We lost
Folks,
it.
I come reach out to me. I'm available to you. Let's talk about it. Let's bring me scenario. We'll talk about scenarios.
Thank you. It's all in the past. It was the first years of the pandemic when my kids lost. They're regulated now. We sought help. The whole family sought help. We're good now. I'm just thinking back, was there anything that we could have done differently? But it was an impossible situation.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Wow.
So as I said, there's more into this PowerPoint that we didn't get a chance to go through, and I apologize for that. My timing was bad. But again, I'm available if there is any question comes up regarding the rest of or any part of this PowerPoint presentation.
Or maybe at some point we organize part number 2.
That's right.
If you will.
Yeah, that we'll be happy to do that.
At your service.
Thank you very much, Ahmad.
No problem. No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ahmad.
Yes.
Thank
Good time
you,
to
thank
say
you,
goodbye.
Ahmad.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you, Ahmad.
Appreciation.
Thank you for saying yes and being here. Thank you and sharing so much information.
Oh, thank you for creating this. I wouldn't know how to do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So
Thank
we are
you for all
going
the work
for
you do with the children.
we are going to think about part number 2. Don't worry.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you, Ahmad. Thank you very much.
No
Again.
problem.
You're going to send us the PowerPoint, right?
Yes, I will send it tonight to Jesus.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
Take
for
care.
everyone, remember next week, next Tuesday,